And welcome back, guys. Today we're talking about the Sony 11mm F1.8. Now, I don't feel super well, so you probably hear a different voice and it's not the best, but I'll try to go through and do this review anyways. Now, if you watched my video when I presented my choice of the Sony A6700, I told you, and that's the video, it's here or here, I told you that the 11mm F1.8 was probably one of the biggest reasons why I bought into the Sony APS-C system. And so I was really eager to review this lens for you guys, because if you see how small it is on a camera like the A6700, you understand that a lens that is this wide, this fast, but it's this small makes a lot of sense. Now, from a construction standpoint, you see the lens is tiny, is very small, it is super lightweight, it's made of plastic, it's a plastic fantastic lens, it's not even a G lens, but despite not being a G lens, it has pretty much all the controls that you find in a G lens, with the exception of the aperture ring, which would have been nice. But you get your manual focus ring over here, you get your function button over here, and you get your autofocus manual focus switch over here, which is nice. I always say that these switches should be in the lenses because they help you move faster between your settings. Now, I mentioned it's all plastic, of course. The bayonet, the back of the lens, is made of metal, and it kind of has, it looks like it's got a rubber gasket, so maybe it's not the best of the weather sealed lens, but it's got something to protect your bayonet. When it comes to the function button over here, I really haven't started using it yet, just because coming from Fuji, I don't have anything like that in my lenses, so I still haven't made up my mind into using that. But I know for sure this is going to be, once I start using it, I'm going to get used to it and I'm going to like it. The lens has got a 55 millimeters front filtered thread, which is small enough, and it's also similar to a lot of other lenses from Sony in the APS-C lineup, so it makes your life easier when it comes to step-up rings and all of that. In general, plastic fantastic, but really good, and I want to remind you that this is a sub $500 lens. So while I understand that being a plastic fantastic may suck, it also comes with a very affordable price. So when it comes to autofocus, there's not much to say. It's a Sony lens on a Sony body, especially the modern Sony body, so the A6700. This lens goes super great. It's spot on 99.9% of the time, whether it is in video or in photos, and it doesn't let you down at all. It's super silent, it's very fast, it's quiet, it's everything that you can ask for on an autofocus lens. Now, when it comes to image quality is what makes a difference on whether this lens is good or not. Now, I want to remind you that it's a sub $500 lens, sub 500 euro lens, and so you gotta take that into consideration. Also, it's a lens that is super wide, very fast, and super small. What that means is that there have to be some compromises when it comes to the image quality, especially when it comes to the corners. I'll show you how in a second. Starting from f1.8, the lens is very sharp in the center, but very, very, very sharp, while corners are not at their best. As you stop down, the center doesn't change that much. It's already great at f1.8, and it keeps its greatness throughout the aperture range. Of course, once you get to f11 or f16, you start to encounter diffraction, which kind of damages the sharpness of the lens. But in general, the center is really good, straight from wide open. When it comes to the corners, corners are on the soft side when they're wide open, which is kind of expected. I mean, it's an f1.8 lens, so you can expect that. And they get better as you stop down. And once you get to f8, f5.6, f8, the corners are really, really good. Now, if you're shooting a chart or a brick wall, you will see some, you will see that the corners are not perfect even at f8. Thing is, in the real world, in a real world scenario, you don't see any of that. So when we talk about sharpness and shooting charts and all of that, they are only part of the story. You gotta get out and use it in the field. And when you use it in the field, when you stop it down to f5.6, f8, there's nothing to worry about when it comes to sharpness. Now, of course, the corners, the extreme corners, are suffer a little bit because this lens has a very huge barrel distortion, which gets corrected with the in-camera, in-lens profile or with the profile on your software. And usually you don't even look at the file without those corrections, so you don't even think about it. But what happens is that the corners are a little bit stretched just because the camera or the software is correcting those distortion, trying to make the image look distortion free. That is a compromise which is acceptable or not depending on what it is that you do. Of course, this is not going to be the best lens ever when it comes to sharpness throughout the frame, corner to corner, but also you got to ask yourself, how good has it to be for you to be usable? In my opinion, I found this lens to be more than enough for any type of photography that I've done. Now, aside from sharpness, the lens has a nice bokeh, can focus really closely, so it allows you, together with the f1.8 aperture, to blur the background, and that blur is not bad at all. Chromatic aberration is very well controlled. You sometimes can find flare, but it's not that bad. It's very well corrected. And sun stars are, you can get some sun stars, they are good but not exceptionally great, but again, it's fine. And in general, it's a lens that performs really good in all the applications that you can think of. Of course, this is mostly a vlogging / landscape camera because of its lightweightness, its aperture and all of that. You can use it for night photography, astrophotography and all of that. I haven't personally used it for astrophotography just yet. I will sooner or later. In that case, I will update you on that. But in general, it's a lens that does really good and doesn't let you down at all. When it comes to video, as I always say, the image quality you get in photo is the same that you get in video. Plus, when you shoot in 4K or whatever, you shoot in 16 by 9, so you're cutting the extreme corners. So you get the best out of this lens. Now, this lens performs really well also in video because the focus transition is really smooth. It focuses, it follows focus really good. And thanks to the focus bleeding compensation on the A6700, this lens does really good, and it's very usable. It's a perfect lens for vlogging, in my opinion, because it allows you to concentrate the attention, focus the attention on you if you open the aperture, or it allows you to get more the background in if you stop down the aperture, and also allows you to, thanks to its wide aperture, to be used in interiors, in low light situation without huge issues. Because the other options that you probably have is the 10 to 18 or the 10 to 20 f4, but those are f4. There's more than 2 stops of difference, and those 2 stops of difference make a whole lot of a difference when it comes to the usability of the lens. Also, when we talk about vlogging, I always use on the A6700 the IBIS plus the advanced electronic stabilization. I don't remember the name, but I guess it's advanced. Anyways, that helps a lot. There's not much of swaying of the corners and all of that. This is thanks to both the lens, the stabilization, and the fast readout of the sensor. In general, however, you can get pretty appealing results when you're vlogging with this camera, with this lens, without worrying too much about anything else. So, in conclusion, this 11mm F1.8, in my opinion, is almost a must-buy lens for any APS-C Sony shooter, because each one of us has had the need for a wide angle in our life. This one does it. This one fits the bill pretty good at a reasonable price and with dimensions and weight that don't weigh you down. You can put that in your bag, in your backpack without even thinking about it, because it's not your usual wide angle, which is big, huge, heavy, and slows you down and weighs you down. You put that in your backpacking, whatever, and you just, whether you need it or not, you don't have to worry about it. In a hiking situation, I would only bring the 16 to 55 because I don't want to bring a big wide-angle lens. With this one, it's too easy to put it in the backpack and just move forward. If I need a wide-angle lens, then I'll use it. So to me, it's a very good option. It's an option that probably pairs perfectly with the 10 to 20 f4, because that can be useful in when you have plenty of light. And also, both of them together weighs less than a normal wide-angle lens, and they take less space than a normal wide-angle lens. So you can really take advantage of the size and weight of these lenses. Again, highly recommended in my opinion. I was right being very attracted to this lens because this lens makes a lot of sense. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, leave me a like. Think about subscribing if you haven't already. Ciao, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.